We're here today to announce that yesterday we have made amendments to Senate Bill 50, and we are moving the bill forward. Our goal is to have a vote by the full Senate by the end of January, which is our deadline to move the bill out of the Senate. Just backing up and big picture, we have a terrible housing crisis here in California, and we see the results every single day with a spike.
Keep going, Scott. Keep going. Keep
Absolutely.
Going. Don't break. Keep going.
We have too many. We have a spike in homelessness. People are being pushed into poverty. We have people are being pushed out of California. Evictions are up, and people are being pushed into multi-hour commutes.
We'll keep this here. Right, in a funny way, you can't leave a space without this.
No.
Welcome to yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Is this the mic? We all want affordable housing. So we have a multi-million home shortage in the state of California. We need more affordable housing. We need more housing of every variety. And Senate Bill 50 will help us do that. We need to make sure that everyone in California has a home, that people can stay in their community, that people can live near where they work, and that people can live near public transportation. We need to move past people living in their cars. We need to move past people being evicted and pushed out of their community. Today, we have new amendments in Senate Bill 50 based on feedback that we have received after 2 years of meeting with a broad array of stakeholders throughout the state. We are giving cities more flexibility to adopt plans that work for them locally. We have improved the affordability provisions of the legislation to make sure that people in communities have priority to access affordable housing in that community. And we're going to continue to work to make sure that this legislation works for everyone. I next want to bring up the mayor of this great city, a supporter of the legislation, and one of our great regional leaders on housing, Mayor Libby Schaaf.
All right, welcome to Oakland on this beautiful sunny morning where everyone agrees on one thing, and that is there is a housing crisis in California. This new and improved SB50 checks every box for Californians. Whether you hate being stuck in traffic, whether you need affordable housing, whether the unbelievable tragedy of homelessness scars your soul every day as you see the unacceptable trauma of our own families, workers, and elders calling the streets of America home. All of these issues will be made better by SB50, in addition to the fact that it will improve fair housing as well as address climate change. Oakland has some examples of how parts of SB50 do work. In the last 3 years, we have built 7 times more housing. We have seen skyrocketing rents stabilize. We have seen dramatic reductions in evictions. However, we have seen homelessness grow. Cities like Oakland cannot do it alone. This is a bigger systemic problem that requires statewide bold action, and SB50 is that. SB50 now balances local control with regional responsibility. And that is why I have always supported it, and now I am more confident than ever that it will pass. Thank you, Senator Wiener. Thank you, everybody who is up here. And we are all in agreement that there is a housing crisis in California, and SB50 will actually help solve it. Thank you.
I now want to call up 3 of our great co-authors in the Assembly and partners in this bill. Oh, you wanted to. I now want to ask Senator Skinner to make some remarks.
Moms for Housing, I want to acknowledge you. May I acknowledge you? May I acknowledge Moms for Housing, please? Could you ask your... Okay. Friends, can I acknowledge Moms for Housing, please? Would you ask them to be quiet just for a moment so I can acknowledge? I want to acknowledge Moms for Housing. And I want to thank Moms for Housing. Thank you. I appreciate that sentiment, and I want to thank Moms for Housing for taking that house and for demonstrating that nowhere should there be a vacant house anywhere in California when we have the housing crisis that we have. And it was totally legitimate for those homeless moms to take over that house. And SB50 gets at the core of one of the main reasons California has a housing crisis, and that is exclusionary zoning. And what is exclusionary zoning? The fact that the vast majority of the land in our urban areas, including right here in Oakland, where 67% of Oakland is zoned solely and only for a single-family home, excluding anyone who can't afford a single-family home. SB50 gets right at the core of that, and it changes that, and it opens up those best neighborhoods, those neighborhoods with the best schools, those neighborhoods with the best parks, those neighborhoods with the best infrastructure and the best services. It opens it up to housing, and it requires affordable housing. And that is why I'm a proud co-author of SB50. And thank you, Moms for Housing. Keep up your good work. I will join you, and let us get SB50 passed. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Buffy Wicks. I represent the East Bay. I also want to thank the moms for being here today and for bringing light to this important issue. Your voice is important, and it needs to be heard. I'm also a proud supporter of SB50. I want to thank Scott Wiener for his hard work on this issue. We have to do 2 things. We have to protect our renters from displacement. We also have to build more housing at all income levels, low-income housing, affordable housing, missing middle housing. The only way we do that is if we get rid of exclusionary zoning. That means creating transit-oriented housing so that everyone can share in our great communities here in the East Bay. We are missing 3.5 million homes in this state. For every 4.5 jobs, we have 1 housing unit. It's critical we build at all levels. I'm a proud supporter of this bill. When it gets off the Senate floor, I'll be in the Assembly championing it, along with a lot of other housing legislation. I was proud to join the author, the anti-gouging, rent gouging bill this year. We're going to do more. We appreciate your voice. Thank you very much. I'm proud to be here.
Thank you. you. I'm Ash Kalra from San Jose, and I'm honored to be here in support of SB50, and I want to thank Senator Wiener for leading the charge on the More Homes Act. I want to thank Moms for Housing. In San Jose, we face a lot of the same issues that Moms for Housing is fighting for. Vacant homes owned by corporate interests. It's unacceptable, especially given the amount of homelessness we face and people struggling to survive. I represent Silicon Valley, and although there's the impression that there's a lot of wealth in Silicon Valley, the reality is the district I represent has more poverty in the poorest census tracts than anywhere else in Silicon Valley, where we have 2, 3, 4 families living in a home, really in the shadows of companies that are worth as much as $1 trillion. And that's absolutely unacceptable in this place that we call home, in our state. I've lived in San Jose for over 40 years, so I've seen the community build up around us. I've seen Silicon Valley emerge. And although that's brought innovation, it's brought a lot of wealth, it's also brought the greatest and most stark income inequality in our nation. And it's absolutely unacceptable that we allow people to die on the streets of the Bay Area while there is so much wealth and prosperity in our community. For me and countless other Californians, housing is more than brick and mortar, wood and nails. It is a critical social and economic justice issue impacting our state and a fundamental human right that far too many have been denied. SB50 will give cities the tools and flexibility to develop the housing needed to provide affordable housing, all while protecting our most vulnerable populations and reducing community congestion and greenhouse gas emissions. And I'll tell you, even though cities like San Jose build, a lot of the wealthy cities around us refuse to build. And SB50 will finally force them to build the housing that they are refusing to build in some of the wealthiest cities in the nation. As Senator Skinner said, it's unacceptable that they have the best parks, the best schools, and yet they close out most of the community to affordable housing, and that has to stop. Now, last year in Santa Clara County alone, we had almost 200 people die on the streets in one of the wealthiest places on the face of the earth. And that's why it's so important to me that the More Homes Act also has some of the strongest protections for renters ever proposed in state law, including anti-demolition provisions, right to return for displaced tenants, and a 5-year window for vulnerable communities to craft their own plans to prevent displacement and gentrification. I'm very proud of the fact that Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors has endorsed SB50, our Mayor San Locardo, and the City Council has endorsed and supported last year's SB50, and I know they're going to be voting on it sometime soon. So my community that actually faces some of the starkest income inequality in the nation supports this effort because we're not getting enough support from the communities that surround us, and we must demand more. So it's time that we pass SB50 for our families, for our environment, and our communities. And I once again want to reiterate my support for Mothers for Housing, because we absolutely have to go after these opportunistic landlords and corporate landlords to make sure they don't keep our homes vacant. Thank you.
So my name is Robert Rivas, and I appreciate the enthusiasm, the protests, hearing about affordability, hearing about affordable housing. But I want to thank my friend Scott Wiener, Senator Scott Wiener, for leading this important fight. And let's be honest, I commend Senator Wiener for his relentless, absolute relentless and unwavering leadership on not only this bill, but really for his willingness to champion sensible housing policy in this state. But I am here this morning because SB50 is critical to our state's future, and I'm proud to stand with Scott and with this great group of people here this morning. Because as we all know, when communities fail to build housing, when they fail to build housing that they desperately need, those communities are they're not the only ones to suffer. The consequences from a lack of housing can ripple, and they ripple dozens, even hundreds of miles down the road. And I can tell you, having lived in rural California my entire life, I see that impact, and I'm living in this ripple. And the 500,000 people I represent, they're experiencing these impacts, and they experiencing them every single day. We see it in historic rates of traffic congestion, people stuck in their cars away from their families for needless hours on end. We see it in homeless farm worker families, priced out of their homes, forced to live in third world country conditions. Surging rates of student homelessness. And I'm proud to represent and live in the salad bowl of the world. But our region never asked to be the super commuter epicenter of this country. I'm proud to be a co-author of SB50. This legislation will create real opportunities to build the housing, affordable housing, that our state needs, and to produce housing where it needs to be, near job centers and near public transportation. So our housing crisis requires an all-of-the-above strategy, and SB50, this is a critical piece that we have to get done this year, now. So with that, thank you so much. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Assemblymember Kevin Kiley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can we turn it down just a notch, just for a second? I'm Kevin Kiley. I represent the 6th Assembly District. And I'll tell you, it's actually not that often that some of my colleagues here and I find ourselves at the same press conference. But there are some times when there's a problem so severe and a solution so obvious that it leaves no room for partisan differences. The problem, of course, is we don't have nearly enough housing. So the solution is to build more housing. Now, in a perfect world, we wouldn't need SB50. But California's housing predicament is far from perfect. It's desperate. It's threatening the very idea of the California dream. And by the way, it's affecting homeowners and non-homeowners alike. Why is that? Because homeowners want California to be affordable enough for their kids to live in. And ideally not at their place until the age of 50. So I want to thank Senator Wiener for his incomparable leadership and determination in fighting for something that is of such importance to the public interest and to so many people in our state. I'm with you in this fight every step of the way.
My name is Daryl Owens, and when I worked for an affordable housing nonprofit, I wrote software to analyze an affordable housing wait list. For just 32 low-income homes in Alameda, there were 11,000 applicants. For just 32 low-income homes. In this last decade, I've witnessed a severe decline of black residents in the East Bay, and houses that were once affordable, now costing over $1 million. And yet over the same course of those 20 years, the same old houses now cost millions and are largely inhabited by affluent newcomers. I can see the same effect now occurring in East Oakland. In my neighborhood in Berkeley, almost every service worker, retail worker, and public servant does not live in the neighborhood, and not by choice. From 2000 to 2016, San Mateo County approved 1 home for every 17 new jobs. Santa Clara County approved 1 home for every 8 new jobs. Marin County approved 1 home for every 20 new jobs, and San Francisco approved 1 home for every 13 new jobs. The increase in homelessness, along with severe freeway congestion and bar crowding we see in the East Bay, it can be directly attributed to these land use policies across the Bay. Oakland can build as much housing as it wants, but it is ineffective if the rest of the Bay Area chooses not to. The housing policy of the last 50 years has been to tear up open fields and build housing and freeways, leading to devastating climate results. With fires ravaging the state, many refugees move into Bay Area neighborhoods, including my own, only to find housing near unaffordable or unavailable. Friends and family now commute to work from houses where the Bay Area previously built them, in cities far away, causing severe climate pollution and causing a severe mental health crisis for commuters. There's no time to waste. Without passing SB50, tenant protections, and low-income housing funding, it will be too late to help our low-income communities in California. And next I bring up Pedro Galvão from the Nonprofit Housing Association of Northern California. Where's that Pedro?
Morning, everyone. We need affordable housing, and we need it now. It is essential. Our state has failed to meet its affordable housing needs for over 40 years now, and we need abundant affordable housing everywhere. And NPH took a support position of SB50 because we believe that this bill will create more homes and a lot more affordable homes. In the Bay Area, we only have 100,000 affordable homes for the millions of people who need it. This bill alone will create 300,000 new affordable homes. This bill will also open up exclusionary neighborhoods that have made building affordable housing illegal. And this bill preserves the voice of communities of color who are facing displacement and gentrification, and pauses the development process so that they can shape the development process to be what it needs to be, so it's accountable to the community. We're supportive of SB50 because it's an innovative way to address California's housing needs for everyone, and will build a lot of affordable housing that are desperately needed across the state. And that's why we're here today, so thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Jennifer Branchini. I'm the treasurer of the California Association of Realtors. I'm pleased to stand here representing our 200,000 real estate professionals to stand with Senator Wiener, Senator Skinner, mayors, and other housing advocates who are united here this morning to urge the legislature to approve Senate Bill 50. A bill we're co-sponsoring with California YIMBY and the Nonprofit Housing Association of Northern California. California's housing supply and affordability crisis is not a partisan issue. The reality is that inaction hurts everyone. Let's get serious about housing supply. Californians desperately need housing. Realtors throughout California look forward to being part of the solution and pledge that we will continue to work collaboratively with our elected leaders for those solutions. The time to act is now. SB50 must be passed. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm El Cerrito City Council member and former mayor of El Cerrito, Gabe Quinto. And I want to let you know, as a Sierra Club Executive Club member and a member of the Environmental Committee League of Cities and the East Bay Division of the League of Cities, I want to let you know that I am supporting SB50. I am supporting SB50 because cities like El Cerrito, who have been doing the right thing and providing affordable housing, we're one of the few cities in California doing this. Affordable housing for all. So I'm proud to say we are building housing and affordable housing next to our BART stations. And I want to say that cities who have been doing this all along, I see other cities in California following this and supporting it, because cities like mine who have been doing the right thing all along will be able to bypass SB50. So this is part of the concessions that I agree with, and I'm proud to support it. Building housing next to transportation is important because we need to decrease driving by 25% by 2030. As a Sierra Club member, I am proud to say that our residents support transit-oriented development. We need to cut greenhouse gases, so driving less. I encourage cities around California to follow my lead and support SB50. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Rob Stoker, and I'm proud to represent 40,000 working men and women here in Alameda County through the building trades. We not only offer pathways into apprenticeship program for the formerly incarcerated and all kinds of other folks, anybody willing to do the hard work that it takes. But I'm here speaking on behalf of the state building trades. We have endorsed SB50. It's going to provide much needed, affordable, and workforce housing. Along with that, it's going to maintain standards for labor so that we'll see apprenticeship opportunities, so that we can see people transition from homelessness into the trades. We're proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with Senator Wiener. We look forward to getting this bill passed, getting it passed the right way, and getting busy, building this much needed housing stock. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to thank all of the speakers today. I want to acknowledge our elected officials who are here. Councilmember John Bowders from Emeryville, the Mayor of Alameda, Maryland, Ezzy Ashcroft. From Berkeley, Councilmember Lori Drosty, Councilmember Rigel Robinson, and Councilmember Rashid Keshawani. From our San Francisco Democratic Party activists, Rick Del Rosario, Tyra Fennell, Michael Chen, Siu Mo, Nima Rahimi, and Stephen Buss. So thank you everyone for being here today. We're going to get to work. We may have some at times disagreements about housing, but we all agree that the system is broken, it needs fundamental reform, and we're going to do that. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.